So today we are here to discuss Tower Up. So this is a city building game, very light one as far as the mechanics in it. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But this is entry level game, definitely. It's something that's easy to pick up, easy to teach. But there's some depth to the strategy in it. Before we get any further into this discussion, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down there. So and the like if you like it, that'd be awesome. And any comments, feel free to add them down there below. So Tower Up, this was a 2024 release. It has a Board Game Geek rating of 7.6 currently, and our Board Game Geek rank currently of 2777. 2 to 4 player game, average length of 30 to 45 minutes, which is probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Age 8 and up, I think that's definitely accurate.
Yeah.
It's a fairly simple game, but it for a strategy game, an 8-year-old may have trouble with some of the strategies of the game. I think it's kind of enough. I kind of think of it in the same vein as like a chess checkers type game. There's not a lot of strategy, but it can get tricky if you don't know what you're doing.
Chess needs a lot of strategy.
I didn't say chess didn't. I said this game doesn't.
Oh.
Chess has way more strategy than this, but it's the same kind of feel. It's kind of a puzzle as far as the way you're constructing the city. Designed by Frank Crichton, Gregoire. Let's try that again. Design is by Frank Crichton, Gregor Largy, and Sebastian Pachon. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing these names. I apologize. Art is by Nadij Caligari, Laurent Escoffier, and Geoffrey Steparenko. Published by Monolith Board Games, which is part of the Flat River group. MSRP appears to be $39.99. I couldn't find a good MSRP. Game Nerds has it for the cheapest at $35.47 online. Tabletop Merchant, $35.49, so it's 2 cents difference. And then Boardlandia for $37.99 and Card House for $39.99, which appears to be the MSRP. The mechanics in this are connections, in-game bonus, open drafting, and variable setup. I'm not sure about the variable setup, except for maybe where the tiles are placed on the board. But other than that, it's pretty much a straightforward setup in the game. As far as the quality of components, you get these nice little building boxes. They're consistent from shape to shape pretty much, although I'm not sure. It may have different patterns on the sides of them too.
They do. Like the black has big windows.
Oh, okay.
And white are pillars. The brown has long windows. And this one has a bunch of tiny windows.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Or tiles.
Yeah.
And then also the roofs all have different designs on them.
The roofs are color specific for the player colors, and they custom made them for every player, which I thought, I agree, is really cool. One of the coolest things about the game is the inserts for storage can be pulled out, and the main one that can be used for actually dispensing your pieces, and has a place to hold your cards. And I thought that was really clever. It's a little tight with some of like the discard pile. The draw pile works fine, but the discard is a little tight for when you discard them, so they don't sit nicely in there. But the rack that holds the 3 active cards is really nice. It's really easy to see them, and you can grab them easily, and then you just basically draw the tiles out of the pool that match the colors on them. So it's real effective. The card stock is not great. It's warping from just a few shuffles. It does have a slight linen finish on the back, but you're probably going to want to sleeve these if you play this quite a bit. There are some cardboard tiles, but they shape them custom for each bonus because there's 3 different bonuses. So it's really easy from a shape perspective to see which one's which when you're grabbing it and putting it into your board. And then each player has they look like little trucks. Like I have a game, Sirico. It's a real obscure reference, but it's a board game, military game, 2-player war game. And the vehicles remind me of those because you can just, they look very much cut that shape. In this one, they're construction vehicles, though. So they customize each shape by color and the type of construction vehicle it is. So you've got a truck, you've got a bulldozer, a crane, and some kind of like a forklift or something. So I thought that was really nice too. I mean, it does make a nice table presence. None of the stuff is outstanding quality, but they took a lot of time to customize things. So what do you think as far as quality, Sarah?
Well, I can tell that the cardboard is like
Slightly warped,
curved.
slightly warped.
It
Yeah.
is slightly warpy.
But that's common with inlaid boards, unfortunately, because what usually happens is they glue them and assemble them, before they're fully dried when they're printing, and then they end up kind of pulling tight as they dry, and it pulls them so that they warp a bit. It's really nice when you can get a good warp-free board, but that's inlaid. But it's very uncommon.
It's true.
So
And the board is actually really nice. And
yeah,
if you look actually at there's these really cool little tiny trucks at the spaces.
yeah,
I think
it's like a
this is really
construction
cool.
zone. Yeah,
Like this whole board is so nice detailed in art. There's even little
well,
cars.
that's more of a theme thing.
Yeah, let's say
Okay.
that for theme.
But
But quality.
it's two-sided though, and on the back side for 2 players, they have it where you can just fold it in half, so you don't have to take up the whole space on the table. You can actually fold it in half and just play on one half of the board. That's really neat. I've not seen any other game do that for a 2-player. So, as far as what you think was for quality,
I also like that. I'm gonna go a 7.
okay.
You said you also like that. What did you mean by that?
Oh, that thing.
The storage rack.
Storage rack.
Oh, right. Yeah, I would say that for the amount of detail that was put into the roofs, the buildings, the fact that there's like a space for the discard pile and the draw pile whenever it comes to cards, I thought that was really neat as well. They didn't need to have done all this, but they did, and I really do like that they put all this detail into the pieces.
In most games, you would just have 3 cards face up and then a draw pile and a discard pile. You wouldn't have something already built in that you can use for your display of it.
Right, so honestly, I would say 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'm somewhere between you two. I think I'm an 8. I think it is, the pieces are done nicely. They put a lot of effort into customizing them. They're not, the fanciest. They're kind of, cheaply made, but they are really attractive on the table, on the board presence. The card quality kind of could have been way better. The rack, I think, is outstanding. I just wish it had been molded better for the discard pile. And then, because of the problems with the warping and the different, lack of, excellent quality on things, I'm going to think an 8's where I'm at. All right. As far as theme goes, like Sarah was saying earlier, there's a lot of detail on the board. When you look at it, it looks like a city and then some kind of construction zones that are already in play there before you start putting your buildings down, which I thought was really cool. And you can see, you don't see the people, you just see all the equipment. So I guess it's a holiday or something. I don't know. There's nobody actually working at these sites.
Well, it's kind of like a airplane view where you wouldn't really see the people. You might see it would be like little ants.
Yeah.
You'd have to really focus but I really like what they did with this board.
I do too. It's like all of the design, there's even parked cars. It's like in the little clouds. The clothes were actually really good done. And I just overall really like all the detail that they put in. There's 5 different areas and all of them have so much detail to them. I really like this.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does look like an aerial, like if you were flying in a plane over a city. The color, obviously the zones wouldn't be color-coded, so you wouldn't normally see that. But, as far as from a gameplay perspective, the mechanics of the game have to take precedence over the the actual realistic aspects of the game.
And the colors do pop out
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah, you can definitely
Yeah.
recognize the different zones. Now, if you had a color blindness issue, I don't know if these colors might or may not present a problem.
These two are pretty similar
Yeah.
to each other.
The shapes, I mean, they did shapes for all of the bonus stuff, which makes it easy. But on the board, there's nothing that really distinguishes one region from another by
there's, like,
color. You got the roads that tell you, so
Yeah.
you could still do the regions based upon the fact that the dividers are there, but you wouldn't be able to tell necessarily from a color perspective easily. So I think it's still playable with if you suffer from a color blindness issue, but you may have some troubles with discerning that. But apart from that, I mean, there's no other roads that stand out like those borders, which is nice. It works well. Apart from that, I think the board is very attractive. I think the fact that they did customize the tiles actually makes the buildings look different, which makes the city as a whole, as you build it, look attractive. So you don't have just one type of building everywhere throughout the city, and ideally you're probably spacing your buildings out so you're not going to have all your buildings clustered in one area right together. And then even the player boards are very simple to read. I mean, there's nothing to them as from a artistic perspective really, but they're very clear. And I like the fact that you can actually score the game just by looking at your board. There's not a whole bunch of math you have to do at the end to figure out what your score is. You just add up your points that are literally on your board at the end of the game. So they've done a nice job in conveying the game in a very simple way for the gameplay and scoring. So what do you think on theme?
I really like this. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, the player board, amazing. The only thing that I really have to say is it's kind of basic whenever it comes to the cards and bonuses. The board right here. It doesn't have to be all complicated, or complex. I mean, but just scoring it as it is. It's basic. There's nothing wrong with it. I would probably say like an 8.5.
I do think that there could have been more scoring points.
Well, that's not really theme, that's gameplay, but yeah, as far as...
I don't know anymore.
Theme is more like your art and what the story and all of that. And that's where I think it suffers, is the story. There is no story.
Yeah.
Literally, it's just you're building a city and you're placing tiles onto the board. There's no backstory to it at all. That said, not every game really needs a lot of backstory, and I don't take away a lot for that. The art is attractive enough from the main board, and I like the fact that the scoreboards, your personal boards, are very simplistic and for scoring. The cards there's basically no art to them other than just a picture of the tile and the colors. So there's nothing distracting, but there's also nothing to gain from them. It's just they're there. There's nothing that is going to add to the score. I'm probably more of a 7 on this because of the lack of detail behind it, and the fact that there's the cards just are basic. I think both the bonus scoring cards and the tile cards are very simplistic, but they're easy to read. So there's that. All right, so moving on to the rule book. So the rule book, there's actually several of them. I think there's like 4 in the box with different languages. The good news is they're all really short. They're all the same. They're 8 pages long total. So you got a cover that matches the cover of the box. You've got here's your story, 3 paragraphs, just saying that your expansion of your city's downtown is in full swing. You're at the head of one of the construction companies mandated for all the skyscrapers. Basically, you want to construct your buildings and get them the biggest score, basically. That's all there is to it.
It has sub-story.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
It's better than none.
Yeah. And then it goes through the game components to page 3, and then you're set up from page 4 and 5, and then that's it. And then it goes into game turn, page 6. So you have basically 2 pages of rules to the game, and then there on the back there's the objective cards, so it tells you what they are in text form if you have trouble reading, interpreting what the image is, but in most cases they're pretty self-explanatory. And then, the gameplay we'll get into momentarily here, but the rule books are very clear, very quick read. I like that. For this type of game, you don't want a lot of rules. You don't want a lot of, I have to remember all these different things. You want to be able to just get the game out and play it. And this rule book, once you play it a few times, you won't ever need this again, because it's that simple of a game.
But if you do have something that you want to refer back to, the rulebook does a good job at doing that.
Absolutely. There's nothing you have to go online and look up to clarify a rule or anything. It's all very clear there. I think it does an excellent job, gets you into the game quickly. There's nothing really to take off for. It's nothing exciting to read. It's not like I'm going to read it and it's going to be edge of my seat reading or anything. But, for what it is, it does its job and does it well. I'm going to give it a 9. And now for gameplay. Sarah, what can you tell us about the gameplay?
So, at the beginning, you take the bottom of the 3 cards, and the first player gets the one to the left, the second player gets the middle, and the last player...
Well, third player. In this case, we played 3-player game.
Third player would get the...
one on the right.
The one on the right.
Yeah, and if you had a 4th player, you would just draw another card and then shuffle it back in the deck.
Yeah. And so, then you would place that tile anywhere on the board, and you would do that. Then everyone would do that in their order.
Yeah. And these buildings are not owned by anyone. They're just to get initial placements because when you take your turn, as Sarah will explain here shortly, you will have to play next to one of those buildings. An existing building.
So that's where you're going to start your building this. And then next turn, you have the gray, a black, a white, and a brown.
And that's your starting pool.
That's all of that you start with that. You can either take a card which has 2 to 4 things, or...
Well, they might have tiles.
Or these little...
The color of vehicles that let you move up the tracks.
Yeah. And you get to take a card, and you will get that stuff on the card and then discard it. Or you can place one block adjacent to your starting block.
Oh, a starting block. Doesn't matter whose.
A starting block.
Or one that's already built on the board somewhere.
Or that. But if it's your second turn, depends if you're first player or whatever. You see where I'm getting here. And when you place it, you would have to have, in this case, right here, I would have to have a white because it's adjacent to it.
Yeah.
I would have to put on a white. Then I would take one of my roofs and put it on either the gray or the white or any adjacent to it.
Well, no, it has to be the gray or the white. It's got to be the one you actually played a tile for. So if you played something here as instead, you would have to play a white there and a white here, and then you could put the rooftop on either of the 2 whites and the gray. But you couldn't do it on the black if you played here with the gray and the white. You would have to play on one of those 2.
Yeah, it would have to be something that you're adding for.
Yes.
Or added a block to. So I'm going to put it right here. Then I would take my car,
That's white. Yep.
That thing.
Yeah, that's a bulldozer.
And I would move it up 2 times to 3. Or 2 times. I would move it up 2 times. The 2 times on the dots. And then that would be the end of my turn.
Yeah, and everything you do is going to give you potential scoring. So there's a track on the top of your player board that has how many victory points it's worth if your vehicle has reached a certain point. So you're going to get scored points for each color, white, brown, black, and gray vehicle. And then also, at the end of the game, you're going to get points for how many rooftops you have that you currently own when you end your turn, at your final turn. Because rooftops will get covered throughout the game as other people add tiles, or you might even build on top of one of your existing buildings. Depends on, because the taller it is, it's going to determine how many movements you get to make of a color. So, yeah, there's a lot of strategy in trying to figure out where is a building going to be placed that you can take advantage of and lock in your rooftop. Because once all the spaces adjacent are gone, you can't build it on that tile anymore.
So
that's pretty much all there is to the gameplay. So
yeah.
Did we mention how you get cards and stuff?
Well, yeah. If you on your turn, you can choose to take a card, and the card will have the tiles placed pictured on it. You can take those tiles. You can only have a maximum of 10 tiles in your possession at any time. And if you draw over that, you just have to draw and discard down to 10.
Now, these pink lines on your board is if you cross all...
Oh, they're player color. Yours are pink because you were pink.
These lines with stars on them. If all of your vehicles pass, let's say this one, and then next turn, like...
I can't see that, Sarah.
Okay, well...
Okay.
I can't...
Yeah, so you just have to say if they all reach the first
If they all reach the first...
Okay, well, I was talking, so start over.
Where do I
If
start?
they all reach the...
If they all reach the line, then you get an extra turn. If they reach the second line, the next turn, or the whatever turn. It cannot be the same turn, though.
No,
if you get two in the same turn, you only get one.
Yeah, well, the same action. Because you could get like one vehicle that's farther behind, and then get a free turn as part of that action, and then the next action gets you moved up further and catches you up again, and therefore get another free turn. So it could all be on the same turn. You get those multiple free turns. But if you move your vehicle up 2 lines at once, you're not going to get 2 free turns. You're going to get 1.
Ooh, I was close enough.
So, and then there are 3 bonus cards in play each game. Those at the beginning they have starter ones, so just to give you they're the easier ones to translate, I guess they feel. They have several to choose from that you can randomize and just draw 3, and whoever completes that task first is going to draw the highest victory point count number up there, which is 7. Second is going to get 5, and then 3 and 3 if you have 3 or 4 players. So you're always going to get some points even if you complete it late in the game. But the goals of those will be diverse. In our case, we had one for if you manage to get a building with your rooftop as part of it. It doesn't have to be even on top. It just has to be in the building somewhere of each color, gray, black, brown, and white. Then you get the first one. The second one was for each region having a building with one of your rooftops in it. Gave it to you. And then the last one was for parks. There's like some of the buildings have like a grassy park circle around them. If you get 4 of those with your rooftops, then you would get the bonus in this case. But there's a bunch of different randomized ones you could put in here that give you scoring for other things. So, as far as thoughts on the gameplay, what did you think?
To be honest, I got mad when I would play something. Then one of you two would take ownership of it. It was so frustrating.
Well, you've don't
I know
own
it's
a
not
building.
mine, but I placed it. It should be mine. It has my block on it. But overall, it's frustrating sometimes. But I like it, and it's not too complex. It's not really complex, but you need to have strategy, and I did not have that. It was at school, and I didn't go to school, so
Well, you
Yeah.
did. You just went online today because we have snow here, so you didn't
Yeah.
skip school.
I know.
Don't want to be thinking she's truant. She actually attended school, but it was online because of the snow.
Yeah.
All right, Alex.
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah.
So, I would say. Oh, what would you score it, sir?
Oh, yeah. It's nothing special, but I'm gonna go an 8.
8. Okay.
An 8. I 8.
I was actually thinking the same thing. Whenever Sarah was saying it's not complex at all. Very basic gameplay. The thing is, though, there is a lot of options that you have each turn. You can either choose to get more blocks for yourself, helping you out in future turns, giving you more options later on, or you can choose to capitalize on the moment by placing one of your towers next to another person's tower, maybe capturing their tower, or by putting a roof on it, or by maybe like putting something on your own tower that you just made, getting yourself some more points. There's a lot of things that you can do each turn, and so it never feels like it's just boring, like the same thing over and over again. Just a lot of variety each turn. Feels like it's like a brand new decision that you're making. So honestly, for that, I would say 8 out of 10. Just like Sarah was saying, but yeah, there's not a lot to this game, but it is very fun.
Okay, as far as my thoughts, I think this game is one that it's easy to learn, easy to teach, but there's depth to the strategy, and not a lot of depth. It's not super heavy, and it's not got like advanced Euro style strategy. It's almost more like a chess or checkers type strategy, as I'm saying. It's got a puzzle aspect to it of where can I maximize my potential. But there are a lot of different strategies you can employ, because the game ends when you play your 10th rooftop. There's 10 rooftops each player has. So you could rush the game if you really wanted to. You're not going to get a lot of points probably from your vehicles if you rush the game, but you could end the game before other people get to take advantage of some of the bonus cards, and maybe you've got the bonus cards, and if you rush the game, other people don't get all the rooftops down. You could actually win that way. But you could also go for maximizing your scoreboard as far as getting your cars along. There's cards that have the different vehicles on them, and I took advantage of that quite a bit, trying to grab them and make sure I got my vehicles as far along as I could. It's very difficult to get all of your vehicles kind of paced at the same pace as you go across. But you also want to try to maximize getting in-game scoring with your rooftops, because you get to place a road cone down based upon how many rooftops you have at the end, with a max of 7 giving you the full 13 points that you could achieve. So you want to try to get those in-game bonuses from the top, get yourself down on rooftops. You want to try to get your bonus things, and the types of scoring don't always work hand in hand. Sometimes you have to sacrifice one to get the other. So you have to make some decisions on what is the best strategy for me this game. So next time you play, this strategy I played today may not win. So I like that element to it. There's not always like one strategy that's always going to win every time. So given that, I think 8 is a fair score for this, because it is easy. If it had been like a lot of teaching to this and a lot of rules, I probably wouldn't have scored it as high, because if there's a lot of depth or a lack of depth but a lot of rules, that's usually a problem. But in this case, it's so simple to learn, and it still has a feeling of, oh, it's very satisfying, but it's done in 30 to 45 minutes. It doesn't overstay its welcome. So I think 8 is a perfectly good score for this game. So I think we're all in agreement here. So that is our thoughts on Tower Up. Let us know what you think if you had a chance to play it, or if you like these kind of light, easy rule games, but you like ones that have a lot of strategy in them. Let us know some good ones of those, because we're always on the lookout if we don't have one, because we got a lot of them, but I'm sure that we probably missed a few. We'd love to try them, so let us know what you think. So that's our thoughts on Tower Up. Hopefully you come back and join us again for our next exploits and hijinks. We're going to be doing lots of reviews. Got lots more to come. Still working our way through our collection of, I think it's now 3,500 games plus. It has been growing consistently. Unfortunately, growing us a little too much out of house and home, so we're probably going to have to pare down soon, but I hate to do that.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah.
No.
So, but yeah. Until next time, you guys keep building and we'll keep playing.
Bye!